Hello and welcome to the Elbows Down MotoGP Podcast. My name's Alex Higginson, and once again, I'm here this week with Jimmy Harrison. This is our first recorded episode. It's not just a special episode for that reason. It's also a special episode because we're joined by Gary Dale and Arran Hans, who is, well, we're going to do quite a bit of explaining about Arran in the next few minutes or so. And we'll also be doing a bit of a review on the post-season testing, the start of the 2025 season for MotoGP. So, Gary, Arran, absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thanks very much for joining us. Gary, can you do a bit of an introduction and introduce Arran for us, as he's sort of your little project at the moment on here?
Yeah, be nice. Be nice.
Yeah, I mean, like everything that I've been involved in with motorbikes, it's kind of emanated and started from Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And Arran and I met really on Twitter. And then we went down to see him at a race at Oulton Park. And like a lot of people, we were giving him, dribs and drabs. Arran does these things where you pay 50 quid, you get a hat, you get a kiss, and then you can see him at a race. But after we met him, I just got the right feel. I got the right buzz, and I was never really interested in sponsoring. Didn't have the money to sponsor a high level racer, but I thought I'd love to see Arran realise the dream because he was moving to roads just at that point in time from short circuit. So I thought, do you know what? It'd be a brilliant journey to take my little guy on, Harrison, and support Arran in as much as I can, either financially or whatever, to realise that dream. Because whilst I'm never going to do it because I'm too old and fat and was never that fast anyway, yeah, okay, Arran. It seemed like the right thing to do to support him. And it's last year was great. Arran will do his own intros and tell you what his plans are for 25 and 26. But that's how it all started, really. And then we're in terms of raising funding for 25, rather than just write checks, anybody can write checks, right? But there's no fun in that. So we got everybody else involved again on Twitter, and we do a little helmet comp. So I'll buy a lid. Rich, out the kindness of his uncharitable heart, will paint it for us. And the person wins a lid worth in excess of $2,000. And we give all the proceeds to Arran to kick off the sponsorship. And then everybody feels like they're putting a little bit into Arran's fund as opposed to just writing a check.
Nice.
And it's been amazing. We're just over £3,000 in a week, which is phenomenal.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Which we're really pleased with. So, but yeah, I could blab on all day about that rubbish, but I'm sure Arran would want to tell you about what he's planning for 25.
Yeah, Arran, if you could give us an introduction to yourself, let the listeners know who you are and what you're doing and what your prospects are, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll have to squish what Gary said with high level, or what do you say, high end or high level sportsmanship?
Makes no odds, mate. It's fine.
Okay. Well, I basically, bit of history about me. I started around about 8 years ago. Always been into the TT and to road racing and watching British superbikes and bits and pieces, and things just got kind of rolling from there. I went to watch my first TT in 2007, and I was stood on Hilbury, and McGuinness came past, and it just blew my mind, and I was like, I wonder if this is possible. When your cogs start thinking, like, could I do that? So it was literally a case of a few years later, got a road bike, wrote that off within 2 weeks, trying to get my knee down on a roundabout on an industrial estate. And I did my first ever track day. And then literally from that, I was just hooked. I mean, I've never been the fastest person in the world. I know how a bike works and how it operates, and I can potentially go quite fast. But from seeing what I did in 2007, it just gave me a massive itch. And I was like, right, I need to do something about this. And then I started racing, started doing a few track days. I did the first ever fast group 2 days before I did my first race at Oulton Park. And then just kept plugging away at different tracks and bits and pieces. And then, it just went from there. But the roads have just been something I've been watching since 2007. I've been to the Isle of Man. I think we've missed it. Obviously, we're locked down and foot and mouth, I think, 1 year. But I've been every year. And just, what a place.
And you've, I've got a soft spot for Oliver's Mount. Ironically, I haven't been there since 2009. Sounds like a right soft spot, doesn't it? But I was going there since I was a kid, and I saw your cover photo on Twitter. Is just before or just after the Jeffries jump.
Yes.
What a track! Yeah, that used to be my favourite thing. Going there, setting off at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting there at 8 o'clock, and just hearing 2 strokes, and then the super bikes, and I saw a lot of my childhood heroes at Oliver's Mount. So, I mean, what's that like to ride around? Is that a footpath through a park with the currents? I mean, it's only 600s allowed there now, anyway, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Thousands have stopped there, and there's only really one word to describe Oliver's Mountain, and that's sketchy. It is honestly. You watch onboards and bits and pieces, and you're like, right, okay, it looks all right, left, right, jump, etc. And you think, right, fine. But then when you actually come into the paddock, you can see like turn 1, and the hill is like that, and you're like, is it up there? But when you're on the bike, it's not too bad. But I went twice last year, and I've not had a dry lap round Oliver's Mount. So in the wet, it's quite iffy. It's quite sketchy. But it doesn't. You don't realise how close everything is there. So trees and fences and hedges and this, that, and the other, and it was an experience. One that I absolutely loved, though.
Good training, I suppose, for the Isle of Man.
Massively,
with all the furniture in the way and all that sort of stuff, all the potential hazards and
massively. Well, someone gave me some really good advice when I went to the Southern. He just says, so you just sat me down. He's like, you just need to watch out for the 2 walls. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Which ones? He goes, well, the ones on the left and the ones on the right. So I was like, right, okay. But that was the best thing I've ever done on 2 wheels.
Nice, amazing.
Yeah. And Gary, speaking of road racing, I mean, you're a big MotoGP fan, obviously. What's your favourite road race? Which ones have you been to? Is it a bit of a love-hate thing for you? Some people have a love-hate relationship with road racing. I know I kind of do these days, but then you'll see, like you mentioned Hilbury, you see a video of Hilbury. I saw one the other day. Second half of the lap, it's 4th, 5th gear. You think, how can anyone not like that? Even though it's, I mean, have you always had a soft spot for the TT as well?
Yeah, I have. I've been like Arran. My first TT was 2003. And I went as part of a kind of hospitality thing with the company I was with at the time. And I didn't ride at the time, didn't have a license, and the R1, the new one, had just been released, and there was a stand at the main grandstand area, and it had the R6 and the R1 in it. And I turned to my mate and I said, "That's it. I'm effed. I'm going to have to find some money and get a bike." And the rest is history. But as are the 2 ex-wives. But the reality is, when you stand on the course like that, I've never done what Aaron's done. But I've taken friends, I've taken my missus. You're just blown away. Sat on the Craig at the bank and they go past. It just doesn't seem possible. It's just I've done the Northwest, been to the Northwest. Northwest is awesome. But it's funny because the memories are different. I think it depends on who you're with and why you're there. So the Southern was my first time at the Southern. And that was good because it was part of Arran, and Harrison was with me, and it was just a different experience. Whereas the TT as a race is it's insane. Very, very few words. I've been plenty times, and it will always bring that face that it just looks impossible. How is that? How can you do that on a motorbike? But they do year after year.
Yeah. So generally, it's one thing we still haven't done. I've been to 26 Grand Prix. I've been to Northwest. I've been to Oliver's Mount. I've been to Cardwell. I've been to Walton, Donington.
Yeah.
So that's If there is anyone going to comment on this first video, apologies.
Yeah.
But yeah. So fingers crossed. We see Arran on the grid next year. I'm sure we will. This is only going to go the funds are only going to go one way, aren't they? So that's brilliant.
So talk us through your 2024 season so far, Arran. How's it been for you?
It didn't start off very well. Did a track day at Donington in March. It was wet and had new fairings, new helmet, new leathers, new gloves, new boots. And 4th session, I was high-sided out of Coppice onto the back straight. So bike wasn't the best. Helmet survived, leathers, hole in them, gloves, boots. So that was the bit of the start that I didn't kind of need, because engine's been refreshed and bike's ready to go, and I crashed it first time out on it, which wasn't the best start. But
that's not ideal.
My goal, my goal for the 2024 for this year was to get to the Southern 100. So I've ridden on tracks. I live 50 minutes from Anglesey. I live 15 minutes from Alton Park. So the people who have been to Anglesey say it's amazing. It is when it's sunny and it's nice and there's no wind. I've been there when days have been cancelled, and I just kind of got a little bit bored, and you start losing interest in something, and then something comes along that you're like, right, I fancy a go at that. And Oliver's Mount, I put an entry in for Oliver's Mount, I put an entry in for Southern 100, and I only put it in for Oliver's Mount to get it on the CV so it looks good when I put the Southern in. So they said, oh, he's done Oliver's Mount. I didn't expect to get the entry back that quick. Within a week, I was like, "Oh right, okay, now we're doing it." So after a few short circuit rounds, just all right results. Oliver's Mount came along. Did the newcomer laps and bits and pieces. Obviously, it was peeing down with rain and cold and wet and miserable. And then a couple of short circuits again, and then it was literally everything. All the eggs went into one basket of the Southern 100 this year. I've done a couple of shorts. Do I call them short circuits now?
Yeah. I mean,
is that what it is? Is that the transition
compared to the roads? It is. Yeah.
I went to the Anglesey Grand a few in October, and I was saying to a few mates, I was like, I'm finding it difficult getting back to short circuits from being a road racer now. So they told me kind of where to go on that. But I did the last round on the 600, and I borrowed a CB 500 to do a few races on it. And what an amazing bit of kit that is. It just kind of reignited everything again, and it was I kind of had a massive come down since the Southern. The Southern was literally, like I said before, the best thing I've ever done. And then all of a sudden it's like, right, back to work, back to reality. Oh, we'll go racing again on the weekend. Hired a CB 500, absolutely loved the weekend. And then all of a sudden it's like, right, it stopped again. But the good thing is that the interaction with social media and like the vlogs I do on YouTube and bits and pieces, and speaking with Gaz and what Gaz has done in terms of sponsorship already. I mean, it's November. We're still in 2024. And it started again already. It's like it hasn't stopped. So the kind of the wheels are still turning, and it's just I've got to go and pick. I bought some fairings off Ian Locker of all people the other day.
I've met him quite a few times as a kid. Yeah.
I mean, he's of a certain age when he struggles with WhatsApp messages. But he's been spot on. So it's like literally now, engine's got to come out the bike. Go and get that refreshed, and like the season starts pretty much now. So 2024 has been it's so good. It's one of the best years I've ever had racing. Just boxes you've got everywhere.
Yeah, and you've got an amazing prospect for next year as well. So, Gary, talk us through the what's been raised so far, what needs to be raised, your target, and how we go about getting to that target.
So it's a funny one, because when we sat in Wales after we did Arran did Anglesey, and we were sat in the kind of holiday let that I'd booked, and I said to Arran, right, what's the number? What do we need to? How's the bike? Bike's fine. Right, okay. Leather's hit kit? Yeah, fine. Okay. I said, what? Do you need anything? Well, yeah, probably. Yeah. And that's why I love doing this, because I've been asked by other people, did I want to support? And they give you a fixed number. It's usually 5 figures. That never interested me. I love supporting people, but it's the journey that Arran's taken is the bit that hooks me in. I do laugh when he's about to go into the race in the Southern when it's horizontal rain and he looks like he's on a slick. That was quite amusing. And I said to him, is that just a temporary tyre? He said, no, that's the only one I've got. I said, well, you're going nowhere on that tyre, boy. Yeah. And then we basically scoured the paddock begging somebody to sell us a set of reins.
Yeah.
But that's the fun, right? That's why it's fun. And the money's fine. But rather, as I say, if we can make it fun on the way and bring people along with us, that's going to be a much more of a laugh for everybody, really. But the budget, to answer your question directly, hopefully he doesn't write his bike off. That would be really good. And we get through the season on the bike. But kit and ad hoc along the way, tyres, fuel, entrance fees, we'll have that covered. Yeah. But it just means it's one less thing for him to worry about.
Well, going on about the whether or not he writes the bike off at some point or not, hopefully not. But that's kind of like saying, well, who do you think will be the MotoGP world champion next year? Well, I don't know because they might crash. It's it could be anyone because all the big guys could crash and then it could be someone like Nakagami or something wins world champion.
Well,
what I mean?
That'll be hard next year. Wouldn't
it? Speaking, if everything goes perfectly to plan. The bike's good. Obviously, you can take all sorts of uncontrollable aspects into account as well, like illness and that sort of thing. What if you get COVID or something, or something? And yeah, that could ruin it for you. So, if all of the uncontrollables are normal and everything goes to plan, you're sort of talking 4 figures then to get it off the ground and get to the Isle of Man. Cool.
Well, yeah. So I think, Arran, do you want to cover off your 25 race plans and what the ambition is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what I want to do is Oliver's Mount again. I saw Oliver's Mount had knocked one of the races or one of the meetings on the head this year. So I'd like to do, full season at Oliver's Mount. Southern 100, I would love to go back to then. And then when the new year arrives, the newcomer opportunities arrive for the Manx GP. Yeah. So that is, I mean, all dependent on entry. And what I can actually get and what I can actually do, then that's the plan for next year. I didn't know you said what figure. I was probably a couple of beers deep by then.
Draw a line.
So yeah.
Does the figure include the beers? That sort of thing.
Oh, we'll have to budget for that, won't we? We'll have to budget.
Price is going up, so you have to budget. You didn't have to budget for it a few years ago, but you do now.
Windsor Manx, like, where are the beers? Gary's like, I've got no money left.
Yeah. It literally, we're going to send him on a paddock scooter around the paddock somewhere. He's good at getting things. So
there'll be no Prosecco on the podium. It'll be Lambrini.
I honestly, I'm a cheap date, so Lambrini's absolutely fine with me. It's not an issue.
£1.50 from Mozza's, lovely. Excellent. So I suppose, So how can people get involved? There's a competition, obviously, on Twitter that Gary's set up. So what does that involve?
Yeah, there's a comp that will run until Saturday, where you win your lid of choice, and it'll get sent to Rich. You can design it with Rich. He'll paint it and get it out to you before he starts his BSB frenzy in early January. So cracking prize. Tickets are £20, and if you're interested in entering, the entries are open until Saturday at 6 p.m. Best way to get a hold of us is either through Arran's channel on Twitter or Facebook or Insta, or me or you guys, and you can send them on, and I'll make sure everybody gets entered. Great coverage so far. So pleased, really pleased with what's come in, and it's just bikers, right? Yeah. Even somebody's got. I've had guys phone me up or message me and say, "Can you hold me a ticket?" But I don't get paid until. And I love that, right? And it is brilliant support from as many people as they can, because more and more people know who Arran is, and it's great to be involved in it, So as I say, open till Saturday, and if we can get it to £5,000, happy days. I did say 2 at the start. I thought we'll raise 2, and we crossed 2, and I said, right, it's 3 now, and we'll get it to 3. Well, we're at 3, so we'll make it 4. So we'll see if we can get to 4.
No more high sides coming out of copies, because of that fairings thingy expected in it. But let's not think about crashing. Let's think about obviously that season.
Oh, really exciting. Hopefully, all the best for the 2025 season. That sounds fantastic.
We'll have to keep updating into the new year. Well, we'll get updates from you guys, and then because obviously this is our first video. Yes, folks, we'll get on to MotoGP, but this is pretty damn cool. Bragging rights if you do well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, in the coming weeks, in the next episodes and stuff, we'll also keep you up to date with how the fundraiser for Arran's TT hopes are getting on.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I think we should probably do some MotoGP chat, shouldn't we?
Yeah, so the Barcelona test, I mean, what, a week and a day ago? Last Tuesday. I mean, yes, we had the floods in Valencia, but I think we can all agree that Barcelona is a better place to have a test anyway. You learn way more about the bike, about, tyre transition, everything, temperature, grip that's already on the ground. It's not a very grippy track, but it has every type of corner. I was actually really excited to have a test there instead of Valencia, with all much respect. I think we learned a lot about next year, a lot more than we would have done, I think, with Valencia. Are we all agreeing there?
I'd say so, definitely, because you think think of it, Barcelona as one of the lowest grip tracks on the calendar.
Yeah.
And, if you're going to do testing and that sort of thing, I don't know if you guys agree, but if you're going to do testing, do it in the place where you've got the least amount of grip. Because at the end of the day, it's the vast majority of a test is how the bike works with the tyres.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've also got, I'm sure you'll know as well, Valencia's, I mean, have you guys been to Valencia before? Gary, you must have been to Valencia. Yeah. So it's not really a place where MotoGP bike can stretch its legs anyway. So, I mean, were you happy that I mean, again, respect to Valencia. That was where it should have been. It probably won't happen again because Valencia will always pay for the last race. But did you think, that's finally we get to see more for next year than we normally would?
I've never really paid a lot of attention to testing, if I'm really honest.
Fair enough.
Because usually Viñales is at the top or thereabouts, and that clearly is a guide as to where he's going to finish at the end of the season, usually. Guy's a phenomenal rider, one pace. Alex Marquez was, 5-6 tenths off the lap record pace?
Yeah.
But was everybody else going for a fast lap? I just never really know what they're going for. No. What's clear is that it doesn't take the name he who shall not be named to get up to speed quickly. And that's going to be really interesting for next year. I thought Bezecchi was interesting. I think he'll pick a fight with anybody just for fun. But as I say, testing. I sat and had the whole thing on the TV all day.
Yeah, same. Yeah. It's good background noise, though, isn't it? If you're doing something, at least you can have live MotoGP testing on all day, and you might see something interesting. You might not.
I'm not sure. I would take anything from it. I don't know, Aaron, if anybody else has pulled anything from it, but I never saw anything that would make me be surprised.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Aaron? Did you catch any of it? You're not bothered by testing or
testing? I really love. I love the liveries. The test liveries that these bikes bring out are absolutely fantastic. I know the new Ducati look good, but the black stealthy look on the test bikes I think is brilliant. But testing is one of those things. I mean, there's riders jumping manufacturers. That probably should have been a little bit further up timescales. Jack Miller, for example, I think once he finds his feet on that bike, I think he'll be there or thereabouts. Aprilia finished so strong last year, so with what the new champ can do on it, I think it's quite exciting. But I love testing because it literally puts the cats amongst the pigeons. So everybody is he's fast. It's not really until round one. Until you really find out who's there or thereabouts. But yeah, testing, and that Barcelona track is mint for a bike.
Yeah, I was there for the first Grand Prix there this year with my girlfriend. I was surprised by how compact it is. When you walk around turn 3, the long turn 3 into 4 and then 5, it's hilly than you think.
Yeah.
And it is well, I know it's an F1 track, but it's a very bikey track. It's got every type of corner. So, yeah, it was nice to see. As you said, Gary, you're right. You don't really learn much. And, yes, the liveries look cool. I was more looking, I think Alex probably the same, as watching the riders who change manufacturers and seeing their mannerisms, the riding styles. Like Martin kept coming out the last corner, really messed up, properly messed up, really trying to test. It looked like he couldn't do certain things that he could before, the 2 days before. But I was actually, the Aprilias looked good. I thought Bez and Martin potentially could have been further back. But again, you don't know what programs they're running, what fuel loads they're running, what their engineers are saying. No, we're testing this. We're not pushing for time. We're not doing time attack today. Or we're not doing it till this time. And yeah, we saw the same thing. Well, Bastianini, maybe he was trying for retirement, wrecked his Tech 3 KTM.
That was impressive.
He took the front.
Yeah.
He took the front, and the bike was in half. I couldn't believe that.
Snapped it. Literally snapped it in half.
Completely snapped it in half. Just for front end tuck. I haven't seen that before. But yeah, I mean, that probably pissed off the mechanics somewhat rotten, especially going, won't get to try and test again until Feb now, I think. Yeah, end of Feb or start of Feb. So, yeah, I mean, also you mentioned Miller. I think you're right. I think we can't just, look, he was in 20 seconds. Aguirre was faster than him. But do you remember at the start of his KTM career, Jack was nowhere in testing. I remember it very well. And all of a sudden in Portimao, he was leading the start of the race, and he was up there in Q2. And like, where the hell is this coming from? So Oliveira has been faster on the M1 for now, but again, it's hard to judge. I'm just happy with those two names are with Yamaha and help Yamaha because they just ooze experience, don't they?
Yeah. The third manufacturer in 3 years for Miguel Oliveira as well, isn't it? So
yeah.
One thing I was keeping my eye on a little bit was the rookies. It's the first time in 3 years, obviously, that we've got 3 rookies in the Premier class because obviously 2022 was Augusto, last year was Acosta, and now for 2025 we've got 3 of them. And what I love is the reactions to the first time on a MotoGP bike. Obviously, last year Pedro Acosta had some experience on a MotoGP bike prior to the end of his Moto2 season, but Aldeguer, Chantra, and Agura have, as far as I'm aware, haven't ever set foot on a MotoGP bike. And Chantra's reaction to it was just like, he's just the most wholesome guy, like the most wholesome racer on the planet, isn't he? It's just his whole reaction to it was just like, oh my god, it's so fast.
It was Christmas morning to Chantra, wasn't it?
Yeah,
for when you're like 8 years old. Yeah,
and Agura being sort of very technical and all that about it. He basically said that he loved the control with the throttle that is completely different to anything he's ever ridden before, where it just keeps going and going and going. So that was cool. But one thing that I think all 3 of the rookies said is that they need to get fitter and bulk out a bit for next year because of the physical torment on their body and the difference between the Moto2 bike compared to the MotoGP bike in terms of physical, fitness. So, Arran, you've sort of been on different bikes, different engine capacities, all that. Have you ever noticed a huge step up from one to the other?
Massive. I mean, how you control and ride a 300 brake horsepower MotoGP bike and have that, it's mad. Is that when you look at the telemetry on when it's on telly, is that like I was watching the last corner at Barcelona onto the straight. It's literally exit that corner and it's up to 200 mile an hour within seconds. But I mean, you've got to stop it at the end of the straight as well. So it's nuts. I mean, I've had changed bikes when I've ridden one of my friends' Superstock BMW round Alton Park. So he was there and he said, "Do you want to go and ride it?" I was like, "Yes." He was like, "If you bend it, you mend it." I was like, "Oh, all right, that's a liver or a leg gone if I crash it." But jumping on that, the power between a 600 and 1,000 is insane. It's nuts. I literally did 2 or 3 sessions on it, loved it, got back on my 600, and I honestly thought it was broken. I was like, it's not moving, it's not leaving the corner, it's not doing anything. And trying to get back onto that was nuts. But like I said before, with the Anglesey Grand jumping on from a CB500 with, I don't even know how much horsepower it's got, 50? Back onto the 600 is nuts. But like telling your brain how to get from like one point to the other point at a certain speed is nuts. But how they do it, I mean, they've gone from Moto2 bikes that, are a lot lighter, a lot less, physical, etc. And it's mad that they've actually set. I mean, their bike races are stupidly fit. I mean, look at me and Gaz. So, ouch. But even like Moto3, Moto2 riders are just ridiculously fit. So it's mad that they've said how much they need to change their approach and how much they need to bulk up and change their training program to handle a MotoGP bike.
I think it didn't used to be as extreme as it was. I don't know, 10 years ago, 15. Since the introduction of wings, the braking force, is a little bit higher. Acceleration as well. I saw a training video from Red Bull Motorsports on Instagram 2 days ago, and Acosta don't ask me what the name of the gym machine was, but he was almost like he was in agony on the verge of tears on this machine in the gym, and he's going like that, and he's got someone like telling him, come on. I thought, wow, that's intense. It's just a back. I thought I've seen it for F1 drivers for the necks and things like that.
Yeah.
But usually you see MotoGP riders. Oh, look, I've been cycling, which is fairly standard.
And then you see Moto3 riders where they're sort of balancing on a big ball. And
I saw the Marquez one do it. Yeah, but now obviously I think, these bikes are pulling. I think that's probably why the step up is harder from Moto2 to MotoGP. 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't have been as difficult. I think a lot of people say the jump from Moto3 to 2 is actually bigger.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think now you've got more to learn in MotoGP. Not that we know what we're talking about in terms of how physical it is, obviously. But
I mean, the start of this year when we had all the Moto3 riders move up to Moto2, they're pretty much all of them were complaining about arm pump. And I think it was Aldeguer said that he's struggling, obviously, from his move to Moto2 to MotoGP. One of the things that he's noticed, I think it's Aldeguer, it could be Aguero, I can't remember exactly who it was.
Even in day.
Yeah. Even on day one, thought I'm getting a bit of arm pump problems. I can feel it coming on already. So that just goes to show how mental it is.
So terrible for Aldeguer to be in MotoGP right now, isn't it? How terrible.
Could they do 20-minute sessions round Knockhill though? I'm not so sure. They should have a go at that. That'll test you.
Yeah. Should get some of the MotoGP riders to do Knockhill. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
How do we think the three rookies in MotoGP? So Aguero, I love him. He's phenomenal.
I do. Yeah.
I remember being very visibly upset when he put the bike down last year to lose the championship. When he could have trundled home. Winning it this year was amazing. Yeah, winning it this year amazing. But are either of these three Acosta light, do we think? Open question.
No, that's my opinion. No. I think the next Acosta is David Alonso. And I think you've got there's every likelihood that Alonso could even be better than Acosta, which is weird because usually when you have a generational talent, you have one per generation, don't you?
But very soon we're going to see both of them in MotoGP. Let's face it, it's not going to be long before David Alonso is in MotoGP. But I think starting with Chantra, I think that Chantra has just been one of those riders that is just sort of kind of like Quartararo, where he's just kind of hung back, not really made any major inroads in Moto2. And then, he's only won a couple of Grand Prix. And he's kind of, I think he's going to step up. I think hopefully Honda are going to get better and better with their new test riding team. Hopefully we'll see more from them. And I'm really, really hoping, I know that we're not going to see anything from Chantra in the first year. And I'm really hoping that it doesn't become one of those things where he sods off elsewhere to, World in 2026. I really hope that we're going to continue to see Chantra.
The sport needs him. That Indonesia, they're bonkers MotoGP in Indonesia. Absolutely bonkers about the sport in that neck of the woods. You could also argue it. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. I mean, people say, well, he's there because he's right time, right place, right nationality. Nakagami has left the team, and Idemitsu, and they just need an Asian rider, you could argue. But Chantra has been a successful Moto2 rider. But I mean, the original question, is he in Acosta? No, he isn't.
And Aldeguer, no way. I mean, he was no,
probably not. But
he was doing stuff that none of the other riders were doing towards the end of last year on a Boscoscuro. And then when a few other teams got Boscoscuro chassis in Moto2 for this year, all of a sudden it was nowhere. So that was a classic case, I think. I know it sounds a bit mean, but this is a classic case of it was all about the bike at the end of last year.
The weird thing about Aldeguer, I you watch Moto2 this year and last year, Arran, and as well. So obviously, do you think it's a case of someone who's just really, really good at bonding with one bike? I mean, and then all of a sudden someone else gets it, and they're diluted to he was only this good. Is it some of that, or is he just being unlucky? Because he's had a hell of a lot of big mistakes. He's taken people out as Aldeguer this year. He's had a messy year. Do you think he might just be one of those riders that he's extremely well suited to a super sports engine? I know it's a Grand Prix chassis. What do you take? What's your take?
I think
he's got one of the best riders a rookie could have hoped for right now.
Yeah, massively. I mean, he's been thrown onto the world stage on, he's got it to prove. He's got everything to lose and everything to prove. So with regards to the bikes, they're all going to be completely different. How with edge grip and corner exit and corner speed and bits and pieces. So a lot of these Moto2 riders carry corner speed. So whether you can transition from corner speed onto a MotoGP bike and try and make it work that way, I don't know exactly how it works. But the thing is with Pedro Acosta as well, in my mind, he's an alien. He's like a young Marc Marquez. What he does on the bike is unbelievable. Was his crash? Did you see the crash stats come out the other day? Yeah. I'm sure he's had like 48 crashes this year. But you've got to be pushing those bikes to the absolute limit to find it. I mean, I'm nowhere near that. As soon as if I try and find the limit, I'm in a gravel somewhere or I'm on my arse. But he's got such a good opportunity this year.
Yeah. Who is it that said that to become fast, first you must crash? I think it's one of those. It's that classic adage of you learn from your mistakes.
Was it Rainey? Rainey used to say, or someone from that era used to say, "I need a crash." Was it Schwantz maybe? I need a crash at the start of the year. I need a crash, otherwise I'm not going to be as fast. I need to get it out of my system. I need to have it, and I know I'll be faster. And he did, and he was.
Yeah.
I think it was Kevin Schwantz a long time ago. So yeah, I mean, you need to find a limit, and it's. Marquez does that every year. Marquez crashes more than almost everyone. So the fact that Costa's doing it doesn't mean, it's just the way you find a limit. And of course, at that level, it doesn't matter what the bill is, does it really? It's going to be picked up by the sponsors in the team. So, yeah, I mean, which is obviously different for people coming up through the ranks, whether it be, road racing or Grand Prix. But that doesn't matter. Just keep crashing, keep crashing. Just keep finding the limit. But Aldeguer, I'm not convinced. I think it could be just one of the best 600 riders for all we know so far. Look at Sam Lowe's. When he got into winning habits in Moto2, you couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
In 2020, he won 4 in a row. I thought, Jesus, he's going to win the championship. And then he got injured and inevitably didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see with Aldeguer. It's annoying because if you look at, 5 of the riders that could have been Moto2 right now, it probably equally deserve that Rossini ride. Joe Roberts could have had it. Garcia. You could argue Garcia probably deserved it, and then he went cold towards the end of the year. But yeah, look, ifs and buts mean nothing. It is happening.
Agreed.
Look, Fabio Quartararo, what was it, 2 wins? Yeah, in Moto2?
Yeah.
Went to Petronas Yamaha, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But now he's one of the best riders in the world.
Struggling massively. But yeah, other rookies, say Aldeguer is brilliant. Some people aren't agreeing as much, though, are they? Some people think, no, he's not special. He's got no character. Well, that means sod all anyway when it comes to results. Do we think Agura can go as far as? I mean, this is a question to everyone. Agura, how far can he go? What's his ceiling? Surely higher than Nakagami's, even and the latest Japanese contingent. What do you think? Do you think he can surpass Taka?
What? I don't know what he's looking to surpass. Just longevity in the class, irrespective of why, right? It's irrelevant why. Nakagami was always, for as long as I can remember, in that paddock. Agura, for me, is methodical. He makes improvement each weekend. He makes improvement throughout the weekend, and he's a slow burn, and he doesn't mind starting from mid-pack or towards the back. He already knows he's going to work his way through. I'm not sure I could really say that about Nakagami. I don't know that much about him, but that's in watching him over the years, I've not seen that. He's either super fast and then crashes, gets in pole, crashes, or starts at the back and crashes. And you only need to look at the Honda rider points. Zarco's sitting there at the top from last year. Who'd have said that at the start of the season?
Honda rider. Yeah, I mean, LCR were the as the satellite team. They were the only, Honda was the only manufacturer where the satellite team was ahead in points at the end of the year in championship standings, in the team standings. which is insane when you think about it. Repsol Honda right at the bottom, and they were beaten by their satellite team. Mental. So
I think Ogura for me is really methodical in terms of how he improves the bike. Is he going to be as successful and hit the highs? I don't know. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I really hope that Aprilia go back to what they were like in 2023. Where they were actually winning more than one race and where they were a bit more consistent. I mean, we definitely with Aprilia for me, they always they have their tracks, a bit like KTM as well. They have their tracks where you're pretty sure that you're going to see an Aprilia on pole or on the podium. But this year we've said that as well, and then it's just not happened apart from Kota, which was just a weird anomaly.
It was weird though on Aprilia, Alex. Sorry, at least pulled out the race of the season in Barcelona to help his mate. Now it doesn't matter why or how he pulled it out, but the bike's capable. The bike's capable.
It is. I mean, I think Bez and Martin will eke, for lack of a better word in the moment there, more out of it than those two. Marv is great. I think he's he's definitely more naturally gifted, I would hazard a guess, than Aleix Spargaro is. But I think he's definitely less of a complete rider than Jorge Martin. And Marco Bezzecchi, if you look at the stats of Aleix Spargaro, he's been Aprilia's golden guy. He's developed the bike. He's brought the team is what it is today, probably because of him, or a lot because of him. But if you look at his stats, and this sounds like I'm slating him here, I think he's had less than 10 podiums since 2004, his 125 debut ever, and he's about 4 wins ever since then. Now, if you look at Marv and you look at Martin and Bez, they're all champions. Bez isn't champion; he's been runner-up though in all the classes and won races in all the classes. I think you've got those two riders now instead of Aleix and Viñales. I think you'll see more from the Aprilia, and you'll see its true speed.
I hope so.
I'll be gobsmacked if they're not a little bit faster. But then it might take time for the only person that's still on Aprilia next year that was this year is Ralph Fernandez, which is nuts to think of. I mean, what would you say, Arran, about we skipped a bit about Ogura. He's on Aprilia next year. What can he bring to the table? Do you think?
I think that bike is going to be absolutely mega next year.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be there or thereabouts. But like I said, he's got an amazing opportunity. You're not brought onto one of the lesser bikes on the grid, and he's there in front of everyone to show his talents. He's such a talented kid, But I think that Aprilia this year will be. It's a hell of a ride. It's a hell of a bike to be on, and I think they will be like the kind of not the surprise package because they've been there or thereabouts.
Yeah,
but I think they're going to take a massive step next year. So I think that bike's going to be the one to be on.
I think that when Ogura got the Aprilia ride, and everyone was the first reaction was, "What the fuck? What about Joe?" And so everyone was kind of almost annoyed about Ogura getting that seat. I tell you what, now though, I'm really glad that he's got it over going to Idemitsu LCR in MotoGP because I think that the RSGP. I think you're absolutely right, Aaron. I think that 2025 is going to be a great year for it. They've got 2 Ducati riders. One of them's world champion. They're both very well put together riders, like you said. And they've also got a rookie who is, as Gaz said, can really, really learn from everything. He's a bit of a slow burner, but absolutely 100% will get there. And they've got Ralph Fernandez, who's got the experience of the RSGP. I find it funny though that I think it was the only rider that didn't test anything massively new. The 2025 RSGP was actually Ralph Fernandez.
Yeah, strange, but I don't think Aprilia. It's not unlike Aprilia to do that, is it? Really, they're not like the Ducati, where a lot of things you share between the satellite teams. It's always has taken Aprilia longer to share newer parts with riders. But then the longest standing rider left is strange. I think we can all agree one thing they do need to sort out is their launch device. The whole shot device for Aprilia is abysmal. You can see Jorge Martina testing it on the line. He's all over the place. And Mav looked aside and thought, "Oh, I'm glad to be out of that." So yeah, I think they'll have to sort that, and let's hope the overheating's gone as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. One of the big things they need to sort out is how hot the bike runs.
Especially considering Martin nearly fainted in India 2 years ago.
Yeah,
when he got off the bike. So imagine if he was on the Aprilia. But yeah, another boring subject, gents. Tires. Now again, there has not been another, even like couple of hours or 3 hours or a whole day where Dorna or the FIM or IRSA have said, right, you are testing the next gen tire. You are testing the next Michelin for 2026. It's still not happened. And they're always available, these tests. But they're not going to want to use them. They're going to want to use what next year's tire is because you want all the data for that tire, which is fair enough. I do the same thing. Unless you tell me to do it, you're not going to do it, which is really annoying because if you want this new tire, it might help with the racing because to cope with the current loads, the dirty air, they've said. But the teams aren't being made to test this. Guys.
The thing is, to do that, it costs money, Jimmy. I agree, because the teams, they've all got finite budgets, right? And some more than others. The teams mostly have test riders. If Dorna want the tyres tested, they've got to subsidise or compensate the teams for their time. Dorna can sort the tracks out and pay the test riders to try the new tyres. But it's money, right? It's huge amounts of money involved because it's not just a rider bowling up and slapping some rubber on. His whole team's there.
It's not. I what's your perspective before I rant on again?
Exactly what Gaz says. I mean, if they want the tyres tested, they hire a track, they get all the test riders there, they stick the new tyres on them, and then they go from there. I mean, the budget's not an issue. Budget's not a problem to them.
That's what I was going to say.
Apart from KTM.
We'll get on that. We laugh, but that's really worrying news. But you've got this issue. You bang on, Arran. It's just not money. It's not an issue for one test day. If all these manufacturers and Honda and Yamaha are doing more testing than anyone right now because they have to catch up, why don't you just have one test day, Barcelona or Qatar, Sepang, wherever, Portimao, whatever, and you're using these tires. I mean, test riders, no, I think it has to be all full-time race riders. At the end of the day, test riders, some of them could be 2.5, 3 seconds off the pace. Now, a lot of these bikes they don't learn about how the bike behaves unless the bike is absolutely on its limit. And some of these test riders can only get within 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds of that. And you don't know how the bike behaves until a race rider is on it. So I think it has to be the full 2025 riders. Right, this is the day. It could be just after a race. That'd be easier. You're already all there. Right, we'll just test on the Monday then. 2025 tyres only. Put up with it. 2026 tyres only, sorry, yeah. Well, just stay at the track. Then you don't have to hire the track. You're already there. And then maybe not the opening race next year, is it? But wherever. I just think it really annoys me because the whole world complains about MotoGP racing and what the wings do for the air. This, if we can't be asked to wait to 2027, rant over. This is just really, really annoys me.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this subject close to your heart, Jimmy? Is it?
Yeah. Because money's a massive object for Dorna, isn't it? Yeah. That's the last thing. Sorry. But Alex, you mentioned KTM. Do you want to?
Yeah, let's go on to the news, shall we? First of all, I want to kick the news off by talking about something that I think a lot of us have seen pop up on our feeds recently. We could actually have a whole segment of this podcast every week of where in the world is Axel Pons? That was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
He's in Pakistan this week, walking around. God. Yeah, so walking barefoot by the side of a road. Cool.
Okay.
Really weird.
Making peace with God because Sito won't forgive him for destroying all those fairings. And that was all the context was, though, wasn't it? Really. So we'll have to swiftly move on from there because he's just not interested. I'm guessing he's not interested in the Spanish civilization.
I was going to say, do you reckon we could get him on the pod one week? Forrest Gump.
Someone took a picture of his feet. He's been on his feet.
See on KTM, it's a real shame.
Yes,
it's not a surprise. Their debts are, they're insurmountable for a company that manufactures bikes, parts, all that stuff, right? They're huge in off-road. Off-road doesn't make the money that road does. And they've thrown money at their project, MotoGP, and American racing as well. Something's got to give. And I think the fact that they're in receivership gives, I mean, is it just a pre-admin? Probably. I don't know that for a fact. But when you look at it, they're now being given time to work with the creditors kind of kept at bay. Does that matter when you owe £1.5 billion? I don't know. It would be a real shame because the team, having spent, as you guys know, the amount of time that they very generously gave us, they're lovely people. Such an amazing team, and it'd be such a shame for not only the manufacturer to drop out, but there's such a huge amount of people in there that obviously lose their jobs as well. Not to mention the grid then falls by another X number of bikes. So I really hope they can pull something to the bag.
But think about all the subsidiaries that they have. When you think about all the ties that they have, not just in MotoGP but also in Moto2, Moto3, like you say, across the pond as well. It'd be a huge shame, obviously, for KTM if because they've gone into self-administration, I read this morning. So they're really, really clutching at straws, aren't they? But you think about Moto3 is dominated by KTM and a bit of Honda. Moto2, there's the vast majority of the teams ride for a sort of KTM branded.
I know you mean affiliated.
Yeah. And you've got stuff like CF Moto and all that sort of stuff.
It would hurt the championship massively.
Yeah,
we're talking about the company predominantly here. I know, but it's not something where Dorna can just help them out when it's an actual bike company, not the team. I just hope they find a buyer, majority shareholder that is into racing, isn't just we'll bail you out. By the way, you can kiss goodbye to your racing if you want to carry on.
Yeah.
Because that's not ready to race. That's their slogan, isn't it? It's what they race. It's what half the company is racing.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as if Red Bull were to pull a plug on all motorsports. That would hurt everyone. Probably even more so actually.
Or if Repsol were to pull out as well. I mean, imagine.
I think Pit Barrett is a massive racing fan, and because of that, I think that's the last thing he'll kill off with the MotoGP team. I think if he has to chip away at selling off, CF Moto and MV Agusta as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
they've literally just acquired 51% of MV Agusta, haven't they? Recently, that's the last few months.
Yeah. So I think if it ends up kissing goodbye to a few assets like that, I think Pit Barrett is so in love with the sport and obsessed with trying to win the championship. I think the team. Well, I'm hoping, touch wood, that one thing he'll keep going is the racing team, the MotoGP racing team. I don't know how much it costs to produce. What is it? 16, 18 Moto3 bikes, and obviously all the spares and everything per year. That's in the. Well, easily in the 7 figures. It's probably in the 8-9 figures anyway. So sacking that off. I don't even want to think about it because you'd have to have you'd have to have a year, a team with a few years old bikes, or it'd be the Honda Moto3 World Championship. So, but anyway, I'm probably going far afield, but it's really bad news. It needs to be, sorted soon. So anyway,
So unless you guys have got anything more to say about KTM, I just wanted to touch on a bit of opinion sort of poll kind of thing. Obviously, at the end of the test, we also saw a bit of news that over from AMA, they'll be testing King of the Baggers you're both laughing. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. What are your opinions, guys, on MotoGP introducing a King of the Baggers category into the paddock? What do you think about that?
I think that would be absolutely amazing. I honestly, anything else to bring a bit more racing or a bit more entertainment, and obviously it depends on who or what caliber of the riders they get. I didn't really see much of it. The only thing I do is I know from Jeremy McWilliams riding in the AMA over there on the baggers, but they shouldn't be racing, should they?
No. I mean, we said this the other week. What have they got in their panniers? Shopping, loaves of bread,
a lot of emptiness.
What do you put in them? And that's what I want to know. That's the only thing I want to know about baggers is what is in the panniers. But I think because they had quite a few former MotoGP riders. Right. Oh, hello. The dog's come over to say hello.
The dog is saying hello.
Hello, mate. How's it going? There were quite a few former MotoGP riders. Oh, hello. Got involved with the baggers. I think Marco Melandri was one of them. Yeah. There was a few others, and they were saying how different it is. Obviously, how different it is. And one of them said, "I couldn't even get my knee down." So it's just a completely different style of racing altogether, isn't it? I mean, they were massively off. Obviously,
they're slower than Moto3 bikes.
Slower than Moto3 bikes.
I think I looked it up. I looked at the Q2 Austin pole position. I think it was Maverick, and the bagger pole from September was 13 seconds slower. 1-3. So yes, I mean. I get what Arran means. It's fun. It's more racing. It's more entertainment. And you know what? Trackside would be really good fun to watch.
Yeah,
probably TV as well. But Gaz knows me enough. You know me enough to know that I'm a bit of a MotoGP snob. And the pinnacle of motorcycle racing, does it need bagger racing to make the most extreme bikes in the world more watchable? You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't. But I'll tell you what, it should do.
It
should do CB 500s, mate. That's what it needs.
Say again, sorry, guys.
That's the future.
CB 500s.
Yeah, rather. Yeah, I mean that's more relevant to a degree. Well, it is more relevant. It just is. Go on, Aaron. Sorry.
As that is the future of racing in Britain. Club racing is CB 500s. with costs and everything. We say before with KTM being in trouble with administration and stuff like that. That's the future. Is putting a slow bike with of 40 bikes, or on a grid, and just let them go hell for leather, which is exactly what's going to happen with the baggers. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, fair enough.
To be fair, until the first race, I should probably give it a chance. To be fair, but yeah, it's just the fact. It's like surely the pinnacle of this sport, we have to have that. But I've seen some clips and I've seen a few highlight videos on YouTube. It's ridiculous, really.
It's nuts.
It is. But yeah, I've sort of made a comparison to having. We need some touring car races. They need some estate cars for some F1 support race.
Yeah, what I want to know is where they'll get the crop of riders from.
Yeah,
because AMA already have the rights for King of the Baggers, don't they? And that's part of American Superbike. So what are they? Where are they going to get these bagger riders from? They can't just sort of all be waiting in the wings, waiting to go onto the world stage.
Why can't it be just people like ex-World Superbike riders who are now presenters? Like, I don't know, like you can Troy Corser, you can Foggy, Neil Hodgson. Yeah, yeah, honestly, yeah.
Arnold do it. Arnold do it, guaranteed.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Get on a bagger.
I think. If I think
Aaron's up and coming, he's better than that for now. Come on.
I don't know.
I think it's completely mental. And my big question, is first of all, what's in the panniers? Second of all, where are they going to get the riders from? Because in all seriousness, the best riders in the world already have bikes. They already have jobs, and then they call it King of the Baggers in America. So what will this be? Because surely it's King of the Baggers in America. You want to be the king, but if you're on the world stage, then what would you be? The emperor of the baggers?
Maybe. That could be if you win the championship. Before I know viewers want to go, really quick question. I know there's rumours that BSB might be a support race for MotoGP next year. Surely we can all agree that's a brilliant idea. Yes. And that's what a proper support race would be. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that bloody happens.
That'll be
Aaron, what about you? I'm guessing that's to get more people through the door at the British Grand Prix as well.
I couldn't think of anything better than being on a bike in front of a MotoGP crowd. I mean, for the likes of, your Glenn Irwins and stuff like that riding around at a support, it would be unbelievable. And it would be absolutely packed. Rightly or wrongly, I don't think Silverstone should host MotoGP. Because
that's a different episode.
Because I think it should be Donington.
I was thinking, no, we've already done this.
But it would be nice to see Silverstone full.
Yeah.
I'll
definitely agree on that one. And 100%. So, but yeah, this has been an absolute pleasure, guys, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And let's hope we share this around, and let's hope people see it, and then we get you some more funds going for next year.
Exactly, because at this rate, no one will be at Silverstone next year because they'll all be watching Arran going around the island. Lovely job.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Thank you very much indeed, guys, and good luck with
much.
Aaron. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
See you later on.
Bye-bye. Excellent.